thought that Europe had human rights, that human beings were more important than papers.
But without papers, unauthorized arrivals have little chance of getting permission to stay in Europe. All Hamid Gordo can do is to try to make their stay in detention as tolerable as possible.
Generation Europe and illegal immigration, our in-depth report today on DWTV. I'm Shane Fankhauser.
And I'm Steve Shade at the business desk. We will, of course, have another business update for you in the next journal. But for now, we have a world weather update for you.
Thanks for joining us. We'll also leave you now with the latest news headlines. Bye for now.
I've worked in a lot of newsrooms in my career, and I have yet to find one like NWY that consistently seeks out the most important international story with no other mandate other than what is the story that will be most important today. I'm Sandra Lewis, and you're watching Newsworld International, your source for 24-hour international news.
Tonight, Martin's menu. Will his dinner with the cabinet lead to an election call? Strike force. Newfoundland introduces a law to order its public servants back to work. BC warns it may do the same to end a walkout by healthcare workers. Urban jungle. More fighting looms as the time for the Iraqi resistance to disarm runs out. And the new South Africa.
The country's ours now. We can stay anywhere we want.
A decade after apartheid, South Africa celebrates, but for many, little has changed.
People who don't have nothing, who are getting more poor.
A feature report from Paul Workman.
The National. From the Canadian Broadcasting Centre, here is Peter Mansbridge.
Good evening. The big question was an election date on the menu. The menu at an exclusive dinner tonight in Ottawa as Prime Minister Paul Martin played host to his cabinet. And this is how some of the ministers arrived at 24 Sussex Drive in green Parliament Hill buses. The dinner guests were expected to serve up their opinions on the right time to go to the polls. The man who wants to hear their ideas arrived by car. June 14th is the focus of much speculation these days, but there's also a lot of talk that Liberal MPs are divided over an election date. Watching from outside the Prime Minister's official residence, our Ottawa Bureau Chief, Keith Bogue. Keith, I guess the first tip to me that there's no doubt an election is on somebody's mind is that they arrived in buses, not limos.
I guess so. You know, they knew there'd be a lot of media, a lot of TV cameras here tonight, and the last thing they wanted was pictures on the news of a stream of chauffeur-driven cars dropping ministers off at 24 Sussex. So they arrived in the little green buses from Parliament Hill, about 3 of them.
What do we know about what happened in there tonight?
Well, we know that they are talking about whether they should have an election now or whether they should govern now. There had been some speculation that they might be talking about whether to have an election in the fall, but people I talked to say that the logic actually leads you to decide either to have it now or to govern for about a year and have it sometime next spring. So Paul Martin is listening to his ministers tell him what they have on their agendas, what they could govern with, how soon they could get things going, and how long they could govern.
And what do we know about the split, if there is one, on that basis, now or a year from now?
Well, I can tell you that Ontario MPs are the most enthusiastic for going now, and that is because they believe for them things are likely to get worse the longer they wait. There is a split between the Ontario MPs and Quebec MPs. Quebec MPs believe the opposite. They think things are about as bad as they're going to be right now, and that if they're going to have a chance of success, they should wait a little longer. So those are the two competing camps. But as I say, it's really coming down to whether to govern or whether to go to the polls.
And it all comes down to one person's decision. It's the Prime Minister's got to make the call on this one. Do we have any sense of which way he's leading? Leaning?
I think he's leaning towards seeing how things look at about this time next week. We really are into that period where the window is opening. It's not a very big window, but by this time next week, we'll probably know which way he's going to go. The plan had always been to go this spring, but obviously the hesitation produced by the sponsorship scandal has changed everything.
All right, Keith, we're going to leave it at that. Keith Bogue, our parliamentary bureau chief outside 24 Sussex tonight. Well, Joe Clark's not planning to run in the next election, no matter when it is. But he has plenty to say about how Canadians should vote. Today, calling it an awful choice, his words, between Stephen Harper and Paul Martin. Clark again described the current Conservative leader as dangerous and said Martin was the lesser of two evils. Eric Sorensen reports.
For a moment at least, Joe Clark recaptured the political spotlight, again today skewering the new Conservative leader. Clark said Stephen Harper would be dangerous for the country, a George Bush type of hardliner who will alienate moderate Canadian voters.
What he said in the past and his conduct of the party so far, shoving out the progressives, making sure that it is hardliners who predominate in that party.
Clark's assault comes as Harper tries to dispel those charges. On the weekend, Harper was endorsed by former Tory Prime Minister and former Joe Clark rival, Brian Mulroney.
Come together to help Stephen Harper recreate Sir John's Great Alliance.
But Clark goes further than just criticizing Harper. Going into an election, he suggests Canadians choose Liberal Paul Martin over Stephen Harper.
Take a look not just at how mad they are at Martin, but also at what they'd get with Stephen Harper. And I think if you look at what you'd get, a lot of people would say, I don't want that governing my country.
The response at first was dramatic. Harper's allies attacked Clark, calling him a traitor.
He's hurting all of us.
MP Gerald Keddy questioned Clark's motivation for choosing Paul Martin.
He says he's not going to get a Senate job. Well, he's getting something.
And Alberta's premier suggested Clark should take back his comments.
It's time to get behind the leader. And these divisive kinds of remarks are not warranted.
By late in the day, though, a shift in Conservative tactics to ignore Clark. Stephen Harper did not come out to his usual microphone position after question period as Clark basked in the media glare. Conservative MPs are now dismissing the political impact of Clark's comments.
It's no big deal. You know, it's sad. He's on his way out, part of the past.
That's not how Liberals see it.
The Conservative leader, the real alliance leader, will not...
They're trying to amplify Clark's warning about Harper.
The member from Calgary does not want that guy to become the Prime Minister of Canada.
Critics say Joe Clark's attack is just a bitter parting shot before he quits politics. But his views could live on through an election campaign. The Liberals plan to portray Stephen Harper as the very hardliner Joe Clark describes. Eric Sorensen, CBC News, Ottawa.
Newfoundland's public service strike could soon be over. Today, the government tabled back-to-work legislation. It's a move that doesn't sit well with the unions, but Premier Danny Williams is making no apologies. Linda Calvert reports.
In the middle of a spring blizzard and from all over the province, thousands gathered in front of the provincial legislature.
This is the darkest day that Newfoundland Labrador has ever seen in collective bargaining.
They came to protest against back-to-work legislation that's forcing an end to their month-old strike. Political and labor leaders were here too.
Their tactics is to demoralize the public employees so that they'll fold up their tent and give up. I've never been